Architecture has not been immune to the follies and crises that have shaped the last 5 years. And as the industry flocked to Venice for the 13th Architecture Biennale, it was greeted by a storm of biblical proportions, which rolled into the lagoon out of nowhere. Even the greatest cynic pondered if this might be punishment for previous, gaudy, expensive, ego-driven projects. But even these clouds had silver linings. As they tumbled away, they revealed a Venice that looked better than ever. Clean, restored, uncluttered by giant billboards advertising Coca-Cola. "Cherish what you have," said the storm. Architects were being given a chance to mend their ways. This year's Biennale director, David Chipperfield, was clearly in cahoots with the elements. He'd chosen the theme of common ground for his Biennale, charging his chosen architects to explore that which connects and concerns everyone and anyone. Processes and problems, situations and solutions. The former shipyards of the Arsenale were a catalogue not just of architectural achievement — architects will always pat themselves on the back — but potential too.
I tried to do a Biennale which was close to my own instincts and my own concerns and my own interest in architecture. And it is very much my professional position that architecture depends on collaboration, depends on dialogue, and that the issues about architecture are issues to do with our connection or lack of connection with society. So the common ground I'm really interested in is, how we explain our ideas to society and how society understands our intentions better. I forced every architect to not just to deliver their own projects in a polished and sophisticated manner. I think we're all a little bit tarnished by this, presentation culture that we're in, and one only is suspicious about it. So I tried to ask them all to open up their characters a bit more and present their work not in an autobiographical way, but in a way that demonstrated what their concerns were and how they believe that they contribute towards an architectural culture.
Architects are not the greatest storytellers, but this Biennale they discovered film. Film was everywhere. At best, it was revealing, challenging, and explored the connection between human emotion, behaviour, and the built environment. As with the Croatian exhibit, titled "Unmediated Democracy Demands Unmediated Space," even Sir Norman Foster laid aside his own work and, with filmmaker Carlos Carcas, delivered Gateway, a dramatic demonstration that architecture is the common ground for any and every human action. Films engrossed and entertained, but did they provide solutions?
I like coming to the Biennale because it sort of takes the temperature really of architectural thinking at any particular time. And of course what happens at the Biennale does influence conversations for the next couple of years really. So I think it's important to be in there to know what people are talking about, what the issues are, and whether in fact the curator has got it right that year or not is not so important, as that forms the basis of a lot of other conversations and arguments about architecture which define the dinner table conversations for at least a certain amount of time afterwards.
The issue of common ground was a common concern at dinners all over Venice. Rather unsurprisingly, interpretation varied enormously, but one of the more promising discoveries was that of collaboration, not just with architect and architect, but with just about anyone willing to hold their hand. For the tight bunch that architects tend to be, this proved a welcome opening up.
Chipperfield and his curatorial team were very direct in requesting that people collaborate, and I know from what the curatorial team have said that sometimes those collaborations were strained, but I think in the best instances they managed to draw the architects to think more about the context for their practice, and it's collaborations with people like photographers or other visual artists that help to draw it out in a way that's more accessible to the public, who will now, after the vernissage, be the majority of the visitors to the exhibition.
Of course, the most common ground of all is the space between buildings. Swiss academic Professor Vogt took one of the smaller Venetian buildings as his starting point to engage the public beyond the confines of the industry, occupying an old kiosk at the mouth of Via Garibaldi to publish the results of a survey into how Venetians use their public space. Even the graphic identity of the Biennale took the familiar Venetian street signs as its starting point. This is a Biennale with the intention to engage everyone.
I think that is a change that I've seen over the last 20 years of coming to Biennales here, is that at the beginning it was merely architects here talking with other architects and looking at other architects' work. In recent years there has been a greater interest amongst people who are interested in commissioning architects, people looking for new architects, and I think it is a part of a widening conversation about architecture which has been going on over that period and been driven by the media to a certain extent, but also by more and more events like this around the world which do broaden an interest about architecture generally.
The pinnacle of the vernissage at the Biennale is the Golden Lion Awards, handed out by a jury to celebrate what they deem to be the very best of the best. The best project went to Venezuelan team Urban Think Tank, together with Justin McGurk and Evan Barn. They recreated a piece of Caracas in the heart of the Arsenale, showing a slice of life in the Torre David, a 45-storey unfinished office block now occupied by 3,000 Caraqueños who've built their vibrant community without architects. In a Biennale about common ground, is it odd to celebrate one project over another, though?
It's an impossible task. There's no absolute. It's not a scientific judgment. You have to trust their judgments. I wouldn't necessarily have given those prizes in that way, but I completely respect those decisions, and I think they are good decisions. Some of them I love, and I would give everybody a prize. I just think, well, at least I would give 50% prize. I adore what some people have done, and they're beyond prizes.
If the Torre David is the poster boy of this Biennale, it celebrates a very different realm of architecture, social rather than didactic. It's not about skyscrapers or glory projects. It's a study in how people live in their built environment, offering a solution almost by accident, simply by studying a reality. It looks at what's there already and asks what we can learn from it. And perhaps this is the most common ground of all. In Venice, for Monocle, I'm Hugo MacDonald.